Hello, happy Tuesday and welcome to the Premier League show. This is Back of the Net. We're an AFC Bournemouth fan channel and for this season at least, we're a Premier League club. So we're talking about the top flight in this unbiased show with myself, Sam Davis.
And me, Tom Jordan.
Let's take a look at the weekend's results then. It all kicked off with that Merseyside derby, Liverpool rolling out 2-0 winners. A number of games on the Saturday, of which Bournemouth were one of them. We won't talk about that too much though. On the Sunday, of course, Aston Villa ripping apart West Ham United 4-1. And last night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Ange ball is still happening. They beat Fulham. But this show is all about bringing you 5 key talking points about the weekend's game. And it's fair to say there are a number of incredible talking points, one of which happened on the Sunday, mate. Unai Emery, Aston Villa, marriage made in heaven. They are looking so good.
They really are, mate. And I mean, listen, we all know they've got a good squad and a top coach, but I think I said when we done our Premier League predictions for the league table at the start of the season, I thought they'd be fine and do well, but I thought, with Europe, and he's good in Europe, and I think they'll get to the latter stages of that. Could that maybe hamper him a little bit? And they started with that big defeat against Newcastle as well. But I'll tell you what, he's showing what he's all about, mate. They've got some big injuries in there as well, with obviously Buendia, Mings, and you're not seeing it. I watched the game, and they are one of my favourite teams to watch.
They're really good,
yeah.
Really good. And that's the only time they've lost this season, that one against Newcastle, is it?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, and their run at home, I think they've won something like 11 at Villa Park. It's a real fortress. And I'm pleased for them. They're quite likeable, Villa. Obviously a big club and stuff, and it's nice to see him getting back there. And as I say, when they're on, I think, oh, that's good, because the way he plays. But I think West Ham had a 10-15 minute spell after Bowen scored, where you thought, oh, okay, let's see what happens here. But Villa just stepped up a notch. Some of the players they've got in there, I mean, Ollie Watkins, good from an England perspective. Yeah. If anything did happen to Harry Kane, you think, well, Watkins is looking good. I actually think there could be a little shout in there for Konza at centre-half to get in the next squad, because I think he's looking mustard as well, and Douglas Luiz in
Douglas
there. So,
Luiz,
yeah,
man.
He's a hell of a player.
What a baller.
Do you want a stat?
Go on.
He scored as many goals this season in the Premier League as Bournemouth. Lovely little stat for you there. And he's a bit more of a box-to-box / defensive midfield player. But yeah, he looks good. And as I say, yeah, Villa, they must be loving it at the moment, mate.
Champions League? Could they? I mean, it's competitive, but could they?
Yeah, it's a weird one, because you look at the teams and you go, I would probably say at this moment in time, you'd go Arsenal, City, Tottenham, Liverpool. But there's 5 now, and you go, are Villa the next best? Probably, the way you're seeing it. And we'll see how it transpires, and obviously Europe may play a part as the season progresses, but at the moment, as I say, real joy to watch, and Villa fans must be loving it, mate.
They must be loving it. You know what? These little teams that go into the Premier League, these little small diddy teams like Luton Town, you know it's a joke, don't you? They won't stop fighting.
No.
And they came back from 2-0 down at the City Ground against Nottingham Forest, and fair play. I mean, they sort of looked dead and buried, really. Forest were running the game, but then they just turned the screw a little bit, and then, 2 well-deserved goals, and Rob Edwards, a point on the road, and a big point as well. That's a place that's very difficult to come away with anything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to allude to, mate, as we've spoke a lot on this show this season, how Forest feels like they're not going to be in any danger. I know that's a dangerous thing to say for Forest fans, but they look really safe. They look like an established Premier League side already. So to go there 2-0 down, and I don't want to put too many kind of say it's like when we come up because we're a little club, but you'll know what I'm saying in terms of this siege mentality and just everyone fighting for each other, and they don't look dead and buried. And even at 2-0 down, where you think, well, Forest probably get third here and finish it off, they keep going to the end. They've got some good players in there. I think Adebayo took his goal really, really well. And yeah, Luton will be, I've said this a few times, whether they go down or not, we'll see. But they'll be scrapping to the end. They're not a team that are going to be cut adrift, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've got a team of fighters, and there seems to be a good spirit within that side. And look, they've got a lot of people to prove wrong. The pundits, the media, fans as well, they get it every week. So, you know what, really impressive.
And trust me, Luton fans, it's good fun when you do it. If you were to stay up, it is good fun, isn't it? To just keep the receipts and go, oh, little Luton, we stayed up again, did we? So yeah, enjoy it. And I think they'll be right in the hunt right till the end, mate. I really do, because I also think they've got a good coach there. Wherever he ends up, whether he stays at Luton, whether he moves on, I think they know they've got a good coach there, and the players are definitely playing for him. So yeah, I think they'll have an enjoyable season.
One of the big matches of the weekend was Arsenal at Stamford Bridge against, I'd call, a rejuvenated Chelsea somewhat. They seem to have found their stride a little bit more recently, but it's fair to say they had a bad first half and they didn't exactly start the second half particularly well either. They were out of sorts. I know this Raya versus Ramsdale debate's going on, but there's going to be more questions asked. I mean, he was culpable for the goal from Mudryk, wasn't it? And also some terrible little interplay that nearly landed them in it. But they came back. But you just trying to work out, is it 2 points lost?
Or a point gained. It's a difficult one because in the context of it, you're 2-0 down and you're not playing well. Arsenal didn't play well. And if that was City, would people be going, that's typical City? That's a sign of a title-winning side. That when they're not playing well, they go to the Bridge and get a point. But Arsenal have actually got a decent record at the Bridge. And there's going to be the question marks over the goalkeepers as well, as you say. I think they've got 2 top goalkeepers, but the problem is they've put... Raya looks like a goalkeeper under pressure. I think they've put him... Like, Ramsdale hasn't done nothing wrong. And I think this is almost put unnecessary pressure.
This in terms of this number one scenario, isn't it?
In terms of this game, I think people are forgetting Ramsdale didn't want on the bench because he's just had a kid. So congratulations to Rambo. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me they're in Europe. Ramsdale could come in because that almost looks like rotation rather than a drop when it's in another competition.
Yeah,
so they could trial it. But Chelsea deserve credit as well for the way they started the game. But then they'll be going, how did we throw that away? And it was their goalkeeper. It's the tale of 2 goalkeepers making errors, really. But what Arsenal will say is that's why we spent the money on Declan Rice. He gets him back in the game. He drove everything in that second half. So yeah, it was a fair result in the end, probably, and a result that I think both teams, in the context of the game, will take the point and we'll go on to the next one. But yeah, it was an interesting one, mate. I did think it would be a tough one for Arsenal, but yeah, they found a way of getting a point, and that could be key for them going on for the remainder of the season.
Next, point 4. Can Kompany and Burnley adapt to Premier League football? I mean, we're asking ourselves the same question with our current head coach. However, it was a more than convincing win at the Brentford Community Stadium, or the G-Tech as they call it. And as with a G-Tech vacuum, Brentford hoovered up, trying to do some kind of sucking joke there. Decided not to go a bit lewd with that. But 3-0, dominated. Burnley didn't really have a sniff during that game. And you just wonder... I wonder if their fans are having the same conversations as ours are in terms of that kind of pragmatism that you sometimes need in football.
Yeah, maybe. I think the difference, just reflecting it to ourselves, is that Kompany's got that credit in the bank, probably. And I almost respect it. Eddie done it when we first went up. You smash the Championship, play such good football. It would be madness to rip it all up. Yeah. But there's still a way of keeping your philosophy, but maybe adapting in game and just going, maybe just tweak this a little bit because, the teams are playing. I think Brentford could have had a few more because Burnley are playing from the back at every opportunity. I'd probably look at it as a good thing. If you aren't aware, Bournemouth is at Bournemouth is the next game, so that almost feels like a 6-pointer already.
It is.
But yeah, it's a difficult one. I think Kompany's quite likeable. I think the way they play is very likeable and nice on the eye, but at the moment, keep playing like that, they're probably going to go down. So they're going to have to look at something, and Brentford away is a difficult place to go. Having said that, they haven't won there this season, and it's kind of the perfect time to go to Brentford. So to lose 3-0, and it felt like Brentford could have got a few more, a little bit of concern. It'd be interesting if there's any Burnley fans, because from the outside, we've had it on ourselves. It's easy for us to just go, is he under pressure? They might be like, no, give it time. We are playing good football. I'm not sure, but at the moment, I feel like if they don't tweak a few little bits, then they could be in a bit of trouble. But I don't think it's time for them to panic too much. Kompany's got a bit of credit in the bank, and it's a long season.
It is. And finally, I'm fed up of saying this, but Newcastle are formidable yet again. But they're formidable after a 4-0 demolition of Jefferson Lerma's Crystal Palace side. Lerma, good to see him back in a shirt for the Eagles. However, he couldn't influence the game, and Eddie Howe's men just looked absolutely sublime. I thought they were brilliant, and it's so nice to see Eddie Howe. We used to have that stuff, didn't we? That marauding football, very similar to what Villa were doing actually on the Sunday, but especially on their right-hand side, they looked extremely strong. But goals from all over the pitch and a really good brand of football. Palace couldn't cope.
No, they couldn't. And Palace, I think Roy Hodgson's going on, just tapping on them a little bit. going under the radar what a job he's doing. The injuries they've got is massive. I know you said Lerma's just come back. Got big injuries and they haven't recruited a lot. So he's doing really well to keep them, kind of safe and mid-table at the moment. But Newcastle's just too good all over the pitch. And it's not meant to be disrespectful, but the fact that Eddie and Newcastle are doing this and people talk about the money and stuff. First goal's Jacob Murphy. He wasn't getting a look in before Eddie. Sean Longstaff's getting another goal, and you're looking at him going. People were all kind of ridiculing the Anthony Gordon signing. He looks brilliant. Callum Wilson's still there scoring.
He's their third top scorer now, isn't he?
In Premier League, that's true.
Shearer and Beardsley, is it?
Yeah, it might be right. Yeah, it's definitely Shearer, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, they're just a joy to watch, and obviously they could, because of the way they played the game, they can almost take a few players off as well. We got Dortmund in the Champions League in a few days, so we'll rest a few. They're really good to watch, and you had all the stuff with Tonali over their heads as well before the game, and it didn't affect them at all. They look brilliant, and Newcastle will be there or thereabouts again. And I've said it from the start. I think they'll go through in that Champions League group. I really do, and I think with their home crowd, they're not going to win the Champions League. Could they? But they're going to get far. They're going to get far because I think in two-legged games, that home crowd is going to help them a lot. And just enjoy it, Newcastle fans. We miss it.
It feels like the top. There are a number of sides at the top end of the Premier League. I've got a feeling the season, when you look at the table, there's going to be a massive gap between this kind of top half and the bottom half, because there seem to be a number of teams languishing, of which we are one of them. Look, if you're interested in what we think of Bournemouth, yesterday on this channel we had a second look where we talked about how bad it is for the Cherries, but alas, let's stick to Premier League. So let's just take a quick look at the league table whilst we're here. It's close at the top. It's going to be tasty.
Yeah, and then you forget about Brighton, who are still there, and it feels like every time I watch them, United have been hopeless, and then they're still managing to be in there. It shows that bit of quality. You see Chelsea slowly climbing, and as you say, mate, it looks like I know it's not on points because it won't be in October, but it feels like that 10th spot of Chelsea, below that, it feels like there's going to be a little bit of a gap. We'll see. One of them teams in the bottom half could end up picking up a bit of a run and surprising people. But at the moment, it feels like a bit of a divide. And 2 league tables in one, which is not a great surprise, I suppose. But it's already shaping up. But we're only in October.
It's only October. Right, to conclude, we always like to give some official observations, and it was a pretty good... hang on. There was one issue, wasn't there?
And it felt kind of poetic that it was always going to be after how horrifically Liverpool got kind of treated with the whole debacle the other week. The fact that this time they got away with it because Jurgen Klopp, clever from him, he took Konate off straight away because he should have got. So how he hasn't got a second yellow, I felt for Deitch at Everton in a big game where they competed really well considering themselves. Went down to 10 men. But it was a really weird one. Konate's on a yellow, the most blatant yellow you've ever seen. The ref bottles it at the end of the day. VAR don't have a look at it either. And then Jurgen Klopp goes, right, Konate, you're getting subbed. Yeah, don't blame him. But that was the big one really. I feel for Everton because that was a massive game for them, and they would have felt like, as much as Liverpool got the 2-0 win, they'd have felt like they were decent in that game.
Yeah, agreed.
They put up a good fight, I felt. So that was a frustrating one. But at least that was the only main one. I think there's a few little bits and bobs there always going to be, but we'll take that at the moment, the way VAR and that's going.
So that's the Premier League show. Look, I'm not in love with Premier League football at the moment, and that league table will have shown you exactly why that is, but hopefully things will be on the turn for our club. Hopefully they're on the turn for your club, just not Burnley fans if you're watching. Thank you so much for watching. We do this show every Tuesday, so if you like what this is, then there's a couple of things you can do.
Big like button, click that, big thumbs up, really appreciate it. Click the subscribe while you're there. If you hit the bell, you won't even have to remember that it's Tuesday. You'll be notified when it's back out next week, mate. And we'll be in a bit more joyous mood, I reckon.
Let's hope so. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Cheers.
Up the Cherries, up the Premier League. Come on.
Up the Championship next season, I think.